Yo. Welcome back to Gridiron podcast. I'm your host, JB, as always. Joining me this week, of course, is Devontae Forever. What's going on, bro?
What's going on, Jay? How you doing?
Not bad, man. You know what I mean? So, got off to what I thought was a good week of football, but of course, and we'll get into it, in the opening segment, of course, but, turned really crazy. You know what I mean?
hmm
So yeah, let's get into it. Before we get into, of course, what happened on Monday night, of course, our thoughts and prayers are with Damar Hamlin, his family, and everything like that. We're gonna discuss what happened and things like that. But of course, that's first and foremost. Of course, hope the young brothers makes a full recovery and gets back to being a great son and brother, cousin. Just you know what I mean, all around. We hope he pulls through and hope everything goes well. Um, so yeah, as you see, we have the emblem basically right there. Pray for Damar. Shout out to him, his family, Bills Mafia, and everything, thing like that. Um, but to start the show, how we always do, Devontae, aside from the Damar thing, because of course that's a major topic we're going to get into. I just want to, what were your quick thoughts on the football last week as well as week 17?
So all right. So I think last week was week 16 was really cool, very interesting, very like tough games that a lot of teams had to play and win and get through. Week 17, I would say it's pretty much the same thing. There was a lot of good games. There's a lot of teams who are like fighting for draft picks, and there's a lot of that's going on right now. Especially you got what's going on with the Jets. How the Jets got eliminated. Why the Jets got eliminated. You have a bunch of teams that are just fighting for like that last few spots now. So like this is like one of my favorite times of the year because this is like crunch time where you got teams that are coming out of nowhere, like Green Bay, like my Steelers, and then there's teams who are just slowly falling out of playoff hopes, like Miami and the Patriots. So it's like
Absolutely.
right now you got a mix, and you're down to like those final teams to see who's gonna get those spots.
Yeah. I thought last week football was good. Christmas Eve and things like that. Of course, the games was good. Obviously, Raiders had a tough loss against Steelers, and then I can make a case of even tougher loss against the Niners. We'll get into the whole Derek Carr thing, how they benched him and Stidham came in and played. But yeah, I thought overall it was a good week of football. But of course, we're not going to bury the elite. Of course, first thing we're going to talk about is obviously what happened Monday night. What I was saying on our program was going to be the game of the year. Bills at Cincinnati, which started out hot. Yeah, I mean, started out heavy, but obviously took a dramatic turn when Bills safety Damar Hamlin made a tackle on Bengals receiver T. Higgins and got up and as you guys know, fell to the ground and had to be resuscitated, and the ambulance came out. And it's crazy when I saw that. Not only was I, of course, scared for the young guy as well as I'm sure the world was. I was just like, yo, I don't think I've ever seen something like this. We've heard stories about, unfortunately, high school players passing, college players passing, training camp, stuff like that, heat exhaustion. I don't think I ever saw it. And then as I'm scrolling through Twitter, Facebook, just reading reports, it's like the world hasn't, and it was just crazy all around. I knew obviously something's bad whenever the ambulance has to come out, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I started noticing as they just kept going to commercial break, just over and over and over and over going to commercial break. I'm like, yes, something's not right. And then they started showing the players' faces. We do have some reports today, I believe. Schefter and Rappaport came out and said that conditions have improved some. Of course, he's still not completely done with his battle. So there were some positive news today from it, but of course, just what's your thoughts on what happened on Monday night? I thought it was devastating. Completely took the air out of what's probably the biggest game of the year. But of course, that all pales in comparison to this young man's health.
I would say definitely that it was devastating. It was scary. It was crazy. Obviously prayers up to him, and hopefully he gets better. Prayers for his family, prayers for his teammates, and prayers for T. Higgins, who had to take the tackle, who like there's a lot of things that like go on, especially in this world. And I think the one thing that people don't understand, especially there's a lot of people who never played football before.
Right.
And the one thing is like you are really putting your life on the line, and it's really a dangerous sport you're playing. And as people who played it and who've suffered from injuries, who've had to actually stop playing because of a thing of health issues they were dealing with, one thing I would always say is one, for everybody, go get checked out by a doctor. You never know what the hell's going on until you go get checked out by a doctor. And then two, the most important thing I'd say I learned from this weekend is that there is a difference between being a fan, enjoying being a fan of fantasy football and some people who would just troll just because it's funny, like, you know what I mean. But like, these are still human beings. These are still athletes.
Absolutely.
These are still actual people. And like, that's one thing I want everybody to understand, that these are still people. Somebody damn near almost lost their life on Monday night. And like, so if you do have a favorite athlete and stuff like that, please hold that respect, because these people are literally putting themselves on the line for every Sunday, then Thursday and Monday night. So I just want people to realize that.
Yeah, man. And that was perfectly said, because I feel like a lot of times it does get lost in translation. Like to echo what Ryan Clark said when he was on Scott Van Pelt's Sports Center. He was like, we usually say things like going to war and we'll die on the field if we have to. And we say like, oh, that player's an animal, he's a beast. But it's like, at the end of the day, it's like, I think sometimes we forget they are human, you know what I mean? And we get like, I'm not a Bengals fan nor a Bills fan, but when that Monday night game came on, I felt the energy, you know what I mean? I was like, yo, number one seed is up for grabs. What's going to happen? These players are going to battle to the very end. And it's like, within 20 minutes, all of a sudden, I'm like, we all get forced back into like the humanity side of it, right? Like these guys go from like ready to go to war to like, yo, everything just came into full perspective. So to echo what you said, I do agree that like, yo, I really hope people can see that the human side of the sport, of what can be a very barbaric sport. And like Herm Edwards said on First Take, like people, they battle with injuries for the rest of their lives. You know what I mean? Whether you play high school ball, college ball, or pro ball, like your injuries and little nicks and bumps and bruises that you feel, And I'm not going to get into the negative side of what I saw. I did see a lot of like it was Ravens fans, some saying like, oh, well, we need to possibly win the division, so they got to play this game out. Some Patriots fans, obviously, they have playoffs on the line, stuff like that. That's just everything against what we said we want to see, right? Like, So of course, on this show, we're going to focus on the positives, but yeah, man. So prayers to DeMar. Hope he makes a full recovery. Shout out to his family. Shout out to everyone who donated to his GoFundMe. I know I did. I obviously I can't give 10,000 like a lot of the players and stuff was, but I just hope every little bit towards his charity counts. Again, just I hope he heals up and hopefully he can get back to doing what he loves, and besides football, but just being a great family man, his charity and things like that. So let's get to the comments, and I'm sure we got some comments on this, and then we'll get into some of the football side of it. You know what I mean? So Jessica Brown, as always, the praise. Jeremy Formby, he said, ready for a good show. Let's get it. Let's go, man. Bills Mafia in the house for him. Prayer for DeMar, absolutely. Pray for my homie DeMar. Bills Mafia for life. Tough night Monday. Absolutely, man. It literally sucked the air out of the sports world. Actually, not even just the sports world, just the world in general. You know what I mean? I'm glad that it was covered. I think ultimately the decision not to play, which is pretty unprecedented. You know what I mean? I think it was a good one. I'm glad they did that. So what's up? How's everything going? So it's pretty disgusting. There are some people out there blaming Higgins. So crazy, man. As a diehard Bills fan, I have so much respect for the Bengals fan and the whole Bengals organization. Coach Taylor is a real down-to-earth dude. Absolutely. Like the Bengals organization, they handled it well, because this was a high-profile game. I'm not saying the Bengals and Bills are rivals, but it's a high-profile game, and fans and both fan bases can be pretty rabid, but everybody handled it well, if you ask me. Maybe not the NFL as much, but still. But again, we're gonna focus on the positive side. It wasn't his fault. It's just freak accident. Absolutely complete freak accident. Hopefully, things turn out well for him. All right, so let's get to the next thing we're talking about, man. So the next thing we're gonna talk about is the NFC East, man. So now let's talk about some football. So when it comes to the NFC East right now, obviously Eagles play the Giants this Sunday at 4:25. The Cowboys play the Commanders at 4:25, as well as the Niners take on the Cardinals at 4:25. This is all a big thing. This is all big because there's two things at stake right here. Philly lost, I believe, their last two games. Jalen Hurts has been out, so obviously that means not only is the number one seed up for grab now, the NFC East is up for grabs now. Dallas has gotten right back into the thick of things. That it looks like that win, which we thought was going to be somewhat of a meaningless game against Philly when Dallas played Philly, turned out to be a huge game because Philly ended up losing their next two. So with that said, now Dallas has a chance to not only get out of the 5 spot, they could win the number one seed as well as the division. All these games take place at the same time. This was intentional. This was absolutely intentional because the league didn't want Philly to play at 1 and Dallas to rest at 4 if possible, and vice versa. So with that said, man, Philly can clinch with a win, and if they lose and Dallas wins, Dallas will win the East, but then San Fran will be the number one seed. If San Fran loses and Dallas wins and Philly loses, Dallas will be the number one seed. So pretty high stakes coming up this Sunday. So my question to you is, who wins the NFC East?
If Jalen Hurts plays, Philly wins the East. Because think about it, the Giants don't really have to try as hard because they're going to the playoffs no matter what. Really,
Right.
it really don't matter. And honestly, the best thing for them is, but technically, I mean, the best thing for the Giants, honestly, is to play the Cowboys. So like they technically, that's the only real thing, is better pretty much them picking a better poison of who would they rather play. Who would they rather play pretty much out of them? If, for example, they beat Philly doesn't get the 1 seed or whatever.
Right.
You're gonna run into Dallas eventually.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like if Philly doesn't get the 1 seed and the Cowboy and say like if the Eagles lose and say the Cowboys both lose, right? Say they both lose. Giants probably gonna end up playing what? Probably the Cowboys, maybe? I can't forget what seed they are.
Well, no. So the Giants are the 6th seed. So Dallas would be the 1 seed. They'd get the bye if Dallas wins the division.
No, what if they both lost?
If Dallas and Philly lost, then
yes,
Philly wins the division by default.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So what seed would they be if they're not the 1 seed?
If the Cowboys aren't, the 5 seed.
Okay. So like, all right. So pretty much, basically, it really don't matter.
Yeah.
Like I said, still to this day, I'm sticking what I said until they prove me otherwise. I got the Cowboys losing round 1, no matter what. Don't matter if they're the ones. If they're the 1 seed, okay, cool. Then I got them losing week 2. Well, yeah. Work for me. They go home in the first game they play. So it don't really matter that much to me. It don't really matter that much to me because I think like the NFC is one of those, is like this year's that division where it really don't matter where you play. Like, right. Unless it's like besides Philly, none of these places scare me. Meaning wise, like none of them really have like that real true like, oh, you're going into some dog territory. Like, you know what I mean? You look in the AFC, you're going into the Buffalo, that's dog territory. Right. You go into Pittsburgh, that's dog territory. You go into Kansas City, that's dog territory. Cincy, dog territory. I don't get that vibe from the NFC because they do play very well on the road.
Right.
So like, I like the 1 seed to me doesn't like really like make that big of a difference to me in the NFC.
So yeah, so this one's tough because I have a thought on who's going to win the East, but then I think like who would have benefit the most to win the NFC East, right?
Yeah,
I do agree with what you said. I think Philly will win the NFC East. To start off, I think Philly is going. I think Jalen Hurts will play. I think the Giants are locked into the 6th seed no matter what, right? Yep. So the only way the Giants play their starters if they just want to be like, well, we want to make sure we're fresh going into thing, but then you have to worry about injury and you know what I mean. So I think the Giants might rest some players. I know Dayball is saying probably not, but I have a feeling that the Giants are going to play very cautious. So I think Philly will win by default. But now that leaves, it's tough because now, and I think Philly wants the 1 seed bad, right? I think they want to give Hurts another week of rest. Mm-hmm. So I think Philly getting the 1 seed is the most beneficial. I think Dallas dropping to the 5 seed. I still have my eyes on that Dallas-Tampa game. Tampa went ahead and locked up the NFC South. So now Tampa's in the 4th spot. So now we're looking at Dallas at Tampa Bay. I know Cowboy like that, I'm not sold on that game for Dallas. You know what I mean? I'm not saying Tampa's some juggernaut. I'm not saying Tampa going to beat them by 50, but I'm not sold on that. I'm not 100% sure Dallas can go to Tampa and win for sure. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I think Philly wins the NFC East, and I think with that, I think San Fran moves into the 2 spot. I think the Vikings will be the 3rd. And I'm worried about Dallas officially. If Dallas can get the 1 seed, get to bye, and then see who they got to play, I think Dallas is in much better shape than having to go to Tampa. That's just the way I feel about that. And no, I don't think Tampa Bay is like some juggernaut, but neither is Dallas in my mind. So, like,
I picked Tampa too.
So, with that said, let's get to the comments. Jeremy Forgy said, Hurts is playing this Sunday, so I got Philly. And he said, I think the Cowgirls are one and done anyways, and Philly won't make much of a run either, but they will get that 1 seed. Which brings me to a point I want to discuss real quick, man. I really want to discuss this point. If Philly falls to the 5 seed and they have to go to Tampa, as much as I've said about the Eagles this year, I'm not 100% sold on that game either. Only because you know how it is in the playoffs. Things get weird, right? Certain teams who should be running away with stuff don't run away with stuff. And that makes me a little alarmed for Philly as well, because Jalen Hurts, clearly he ain't ready. You know what I mean? Now he's at the point where he had to play. Gardner Minshew couldn't take care of business. So now Hurts is at a point where he has to play. They literally have no other options. So he has to play. And now it's like that. If Tampa can do one thing, they can play defense. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm worried about against Philly, Dallas. I think San Fran will be a little bit too much for them because San Fran can just run the ball on Tampa. So I'm a little worried about that Tampa game. I feel like it's like I guess if there's such a thing as a playoff trap game, I think it's that. But yeah, I think Giants already locked up the 6th seed. I think Green Bay will end up getting the 7th seed. So Jeremy also said, I think the 49ers will make more of a run than Philly will, to be honest. I think the Niners feel like they're old. I feel like the Niners think they let one slip last year against the Rams. Remember, they should have won that game.
Oh, yeah.
They should have won that game. So, like, I think the Niners think that their old one, McCaffrey, is balling. Christian McCaffrey is balling, making me kind of regret the top 5 backs we did. You know what I mean? Because like the way this man is running the ball, of course, but the way he's catching it out the backfield, he's blocking, picking up blitzes, like he's in a perfect scenario. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So happy for McCaffrey, but I'm like, damn, he got that team's balling. And I know, yes, they just gave up close to 500 yards against the backup for the Raiders, but it's a trap game. You know what I mean? The Raiders do have talent. Devontae Adams was making some of the most ridiculous catches probably of the season. So that's that. So, all right, let's get back to the next thing we're talking about, man. Next thing we're going to talk about real quick is I want to do a little quick segue, and we're going to talk about Washington Commanders. All right. So I want to know real quick. We see this Sunday. Now, first they were going back to Heineke. Actually, I think they are going back to Heineke.
No, they're not. No, they're not. They're going
to they started the rookie instead.
Yep.
All right. So my theory is Ron Rivera is trying to lose his job because it's like every time Heineke plays, and no, I'm not saying he's Mahomes, but I feel like the team just responds a lot better to him. Like I think he gets in the game, all of a sudden the running backs run a little better, offensive line block a little better, receivers catch a little better. And I feel like every time it's like, what is it about Heineke where they won't just give him the job? I'm not saying he's Herbert, you know what I mean? He's not Burrow. I'm not saying that. Yeah. But what I'm saying is every time he gets in the damn game, they seem to play a little better and they go on a win streak. And then he gets benched for Carson Wentz, and now the season fell apart again. And now it's like he can't even start over the rookie. What are you looking for that Heineke can't do? You can't get Mahomes. You can't get prime Brady, Rodgers. You can't get those guys. You know what I mean? So you got to stick with what you got. And he's definitely the best quarterback on that roster. So I'm very curious, man, like, and how this is going to play out. What's your thoughts on that? Like, should they just start Heineke, or is it back to the drawing board for the Commanders?
It's back to the drawing board for the Commanders because they gave up the moment they got eliminated from the playoffs, and Dog didn't even know he got eliminated from the playoffs. They gave up a long time ago. Like they obviously gave up a long time ago. Ron Rivera gonna get fired anyway. especially after you didn't know that you can be eliminated from the playoffs. Like you're gonna be fired for that. Like that's just stupid.
Right.
Yeah, like no, like they gave up at this point, and if I was Heineke, I'd would have been trade demanding for a trade. Like they're doing the same thing. They're doing this pretty much the same thing, in my opinion. The Raiders should have done, where it's like I would have let Derek Carr play these last 2 weeks to get his trade stock as high as possible. Because now because with Derek Carr not playing, his last game is what? Him throwing 2 interceptions and then one
3.
interception, 3 interceptions and then 1 interception on the final drive. So
Right.
it's like that's not a high enough trade. You're not getting your trade value high enough out of your player, especially when you know damn well you wasn't going to the playoffs anyway. So what
Right.
do you have to lose? So if you're gonna blow it up and get rid of Derek Carr, I like a smart person, I would have made sure Derek Carr played. So we can and would have just told him, play your best, go ball out so you can get your trade value as high as possible. But clearly he didn't. But clearly the Raiders thought otherwise. And that's the same thing with Heineke, where it's like, I'm like, yo, you're gonna have to get rid of him eventually. You're not gonna pay
Yep.
because like, especially if you don't want him to be the guy, you don't want him there. Why? What is he there in the first place for?
Right.
Especially when he beat the first team to beat the Philadelphia Eagles. He had
Yeah.
you in playoff. He had you in playoff contention, and you're just like, nah, let's go back to Carson Wentz, and now we're gonna start the rookie Sam Howell. It don't make no sense. It doesn't. It makes absolute zero sense. So with that being said, bro, they're just trying to they're gonna blow it up, and you already know what's gonna happen. They're gonna get to the draft and go defense 99.9% of the time, like they always do.
Look, man, like, and again, like Heineke he's a good quarterback. He's not amazing, obviously, but there's only a handful of guys in the league who are amazing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So like, but like he can play, and why look, I know Carson Wentz. If you check the boxes, yes, he's talented, right? It checks out, but the product on the field is not what those boxes check out to be. So with that's just like why they keep running in circles. You know what I mean? At least you could say the Raiders stuck with Derek Carr for 9 years. I don't agree with their decision, which we'll talk about in a little while, but I don't agree with them. But at least I can say, hey, they gave it 9 years, right? With Heineke, it's like this man starts like 5 games a season, 8 games a season, wins, then he'll lose one, and then all of a sudden it's like, all right, well, let's go to the backup. Let's draft a guy. Let's whatever. It's just in circles. I think that team is pretty good. They got some good backs. They got good receivers. Their defense is still good. It's not as good as it was, but like
they need some help at corner. But other than that, they're not that terrible.
Right. Like I don't know, man. I don't know. Let's see what the comments are saying. All right. Resident Commanders fan, Dana Seuss says, no, they are starting rookie. Rivera should be fired. Absolutely. I think he's trying to get fired now. But you don't know. And I know I saw his reasoning for why he said he didn't. He said he didn't know because they expected to win. I'm like, come on, bro. Like that's not how that works. Yeah, he didn't know that by losing the game they'd be out the playoffs. That is crazy to me.
You're like, come on, bro.
Jeremy Ford, you said, bro, didn't even know his team was possibly getting knocked out the playoffs. Like, come on. And went to straight dog water. Absolutely. Carson Wentz, like talking about quote unquote falling off a cliff. Carson Wentz fell off a cliff.
Yeah, he flew off the cliff.
And that Carson Wentz season with Philly, that makes me think even more higher of Doug Peterson.
Yeah.
Because Carson Wentz clearly hasn't looked like that before or after. You know what I mean? So shout out to Peterson. And now Trevor Lawrence looks like he's rising and on the come up as they got a big game against the Titans for the division and that final playoff spot. So, all right. Left former side pop to you guys handsome. Jeremy Ford, you said ever since Wentz got hurt on that run where he was in Philly, never been the same. Should head over to ESPN and talk about football instead of playing because he ain't shit. Look, man, Wentz, like from what I heard, like his personality ain't too great either. So I don't even know if that work out, to be honest.
Facts.
But all right, man. All right, so let's say, of course, it was all Doug. Look, I agree because now here comes the Jaguars.
Yep.
So with that said, let's get into the next thing. The next quick thing I want to talk about. These like the quick hits. The Giants are locked into the 6th seed. We talked about them already, but how far do you think the Giants can go? Daniel Jones is playing better. I know we ragged on him in the beginning of the year when it was just basically the Saquon Barkley show. Jones is playing better. No, I'm not saying he's a top whatever. But defense is playing solid. They still have no receivers, which concerns me. That's the number one concern I have with the Giants. So I'm going to ask you, it looks like as of right now, the way things are structured, it looks like the Giants are either playing one of two teams, the Vikings or the 49ers. Can the New York Giants beat either one of those teams?
Because Kirk Cousins is known to choke, they can beat the Vikings. Because Kirk Cousins is very known to choke in primetime games when he's the only game on TV. Because he's very known to choke. They can beat the Vikings. Ain't no way in hell they beat the Niners. So I'm sorry. Like, they're not. Because the Niners are going to dare them to throw. They don't have nobody who can get open. Like, I'll put it this way. This guy, Daniel Jones, is in, when I tell you, the luckiest quarterback job in the football. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why he's in the luckiest job. So now you would think he's in the luckiest job if you had like the weapons that Miami does, like Tua did. Or like if you had Andy Reid as your offensive coordinator, or if you look at Trevor Lawrence with Doug Peterson over there, like you would think one of these high-powered offenses. No, he has the easiest job because for the first 4 years of his career, he got to be absolutely mediocre and nobody could say nothing to him, right? Because he had nobody. Saquon hurt all the time. His offensive line was dog water before this year. So like he is the luckiest quarterback because I'm the only one who realized why he run better than he throw.
All right.
Derek Carr is not Derek Carr. Daniel Jones is not that good. Now,
okay.
He's just not that good. Like, for example, he could be that's why I tell people all the time. I want to, because there's a lot of Giants fans because we live in the city. It could be because we live in wonderful New York. Okay. I told them all the time. I told them they were idiots for not trying to get Justin Fields. He went to pick 20. You had 2 picks in the top 15 and you didn't take him. Dumb. That was dumb. Right. That was dumb. Like, there's other quarterbacks that you could have took. You could have took Malik Willis in the second or third round if you really wanted to. Like, because you realize he wasn't the answer. He's just not the answer for you to go far back into the playoffs. Like the Giants always draft good defense. Always their defensive line is always nice. Always their defensive line is always nice. Like they always have good linebackers. They have a good core. They have a great running back in Saquon Barkley that they're going to have no choice but to pay this year.
Right.
They have a good offensive line. They have everything, but they don't have wide receivers. So next year, when they get a wide receiver, probably Jordan Addison, when they get a wide receiver next year, and they still are, and they're going to be like, oh, well, they need a corner. No, they just need a decent quarterback. They need a better than a decent quarterback. And a decent quarterback ain't going to win you a Super Bowl. And that's
right. I hear what you're saying.
They ain't being San Fran, though.
I'm nervous. And I don't hate the Giants. I'm not nervous that they'll win. What I'm saying is, if I'm Minnesota, definitely the Vikings. If I'm San Fran, I ain't taking it lightly. You know what I mean? Because the thing is, the Giants, they can stop the run. They get up there and they hit. They get physical.
Yeah.
And I'm worried about McCaffrey. Elijah Mitchell will play in that wild card game. I think look, man, if I'm San Fran, I'd rather play the Packers. I know that. You know what I mean? like I'd rather play the Packers. If I'm the Vikings or and I know the Vikings just got smacked by the Packers last week. But if I'm the Vikings or the Niners, I think I'd rather play the Packers. And I know they got Aaron Rodgers. I know that. But what it is that run game, man. And San Fran, they usually suffocate the run. And I know they got dogs up front, and their linebacking core to me is the best in the business. But the Giants is that team right now where it's like, yo, be careful. You know what I mean? On paper, yeah, you should blow them out. You stop the run, you blow them out because now you force Daniel Jones to throw. We know that. We know that's the case. But all of a sudden, too many times we've seen it in a play. Look, I remember when this Seahawks beat the Saints. You know what I mean? Like, I remember they had no business beating the Saints that year, but they did. You know what I mean? And I feel like we're going to see a major upset. Now, I'm not saying this is it. I don't know. If for all we know, it could be Jacksonville possibly having to play. I think it'd be, as of right now, at least, it'd be not Pittsburgh. Who's in that 7 seed? I mean, that 5 seed. Either that'd be Cincinnati or Baltimore, right?
Yep.
I'm not sure. Be on the lookout for Jacksonville too. You know what I mean? And I know they're the 4 seed, so technically they should win that game, right?
Jacksonville will send Baltimore home.
But yeah, but like, look, man, yeah, this Giants team, look, they got Daniel Jones. He's played well. Like he played very well last week. He played well the week before. I know the receiving core is non-existent, but the way he's finishing out this year, if he can win a playoff game, they kind of have no choice but to keep him. Now, I'm not saying he's going to get 200 million, but if they can find that sweet spot deal where they can kind of get out of the deal, kind of like what Derek Carr did, you know what I mean? Where like that deal where you can kind of get out of it, kind of got to resign him because he's been playing well, man. So I think the Giants can beat the Niners. I think they can. Now, they shouldn't, but I've seen weirder things happen. And I definitely think the Giants beat the Vikings, and that's no disrespect to Jefferson. That defense, the Vikings defense, is the most disappointing unit of the season because they got dogs on that defense, and for some reason they can't stop anybody.
It's Kirk Cousins at prime time.
Right.
You put him at a 1 o'clock game and something else on, Kirk Cousins is gonna eat you alive. But like if it's prime time, no, Kirk Cousins don't show up.
Yeah, like all I'm saying is, if I'm the Niners or the Vikings, you got to blow the Giants out. Got to blow them out because you all of a sudden they get close. Daniel Jones get a big first down with his legs, hit Saquon on a shallow crossing route, and all of a sudden it's 6. It's game over. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So if I'm those teams, I'm looking out for the Giants because we talked about the Bucs a bunch of times, right? Being like that team ain't too good in the playoffs, but I think the Giants is live right now. All right, let's get to these comments about these Giants. Levante Arnold with the apples for the Big Apple, even though I think that's a tomato. All right. Glenn Foreman, he said, Giants are one and done. Will play one game like the head of the household and not a relative cousins. Dalvin Cook will roll. Danny Dimes made the playoffs, and that is enough. Giants are in and out very quickly. Danny Dimes is not Eli Manning. So he's saying no magical run. You know what I mean? He's saying no magical run.
He just looked like a Manning. That's it. He just
looked
like one.
He do look like a Manning, though. So
that's it. He just looked like one. That's all.
Devontae, I'm just nervous. All of a sudden, it's like, let's say San Fran, right? We know they got a big defense. All of a sudden, they Giants got the ball they could run out the clock. They go to stop Saquon. All of a sudden, here's Daniel Jones on a little bootleg. All of a sudden, it's game over. You know what I mean? That's what I'm worried about, man. You can't let that team like the Giants who could run the ball get the lead and just run the clock out. That's what I'm worried about, man. I know the Giants, like on paper, ain't much, but shit, I don't know, man. Jeremy's 4G, they stick around in games, but I'm with D. They don't have that's a game changer like a wide receiver or somebody that's a playmaker. They got Saquon Barkley, man.
No, you can't be throwing flat routes and bubble routes with a minute 30 seconds left in the game. You're trying to drive. That's a problem. You don't got receivers. They don't got first off. They don't have smart receivers either. They don't got receivers who can play well against zone coverage. They don't got receivers who can win a man to man.
Are we talking about for the Vikings or are we talking about for the Niners?
I'm talking about either. Well, the Vikings defense is trash.
Right.
But I'm talking about just known receivers for the Giants who can, like, for example, they don't got a receiver you can count on. I lied. They got that one tight end who Daniel Jones just be force feeding the ball to. Bellinger, I think, something like that. Other than that, they ain't got nobody. Like, for example, like, I think, to me, the Giants are not a scary team. Giants are a team where it's like, listen, if you let them run the ball, they're going to beat you. Okay? So, like, for me, the team that's more scary is Detroit make the playoffs? I'm more terrified to go and having to play Detroit than I am.
They don't got a defense, though. That's the thing. It's playing better, but they don't got a defense. That's a problem with Detroit.
But they will punt. But they
can put up points.
Physical? You want to talk about physical?
I get it.
If the Lions got in and draw Minnesota, who you picking? I might go Detroit. I ain't gonna hold you. I just might.
Right, but I'm also picking the Giants to beat the Vikings. So it's really comes down. I ain't picking Detroit to beat the Niners.
I'm not picking either to beat the Niners. But
I think the Giants have a better shot because the Giants can stop the run. And no disrespect to San Fran fans, because I know Niner gang they be in the comments as well. Shout out to y'all, but it's not like San Fran got this dominating offense either. They run the rock, which plays right into what the Giants like to do.
But they can throw
Brock Purdy, as good as he been playing. Last, come on now.
Six runner.
Playoffs is different.
The 6th round, I understand, but also they have receivers that you need to watch your eye on. You can't let. If you've been noticing, George Kittle been eating the last couple weeks.
But he can't throw the ball to himself. It's a reason why the Raiders were in that game. And I know the Raiders got talent on like the weapons. I know they do, right?
Yeah.
But Brock Purdy threw 2 picks in that game.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm worried about in the playoffs. All of a sudden, a 1 pick here, fumble here, it's a whole other game. That's all I'm saying when I say the Giants are live. That's all I'm saying.
I just don't think they can get it done in the 4th quarter. I don't see it.
Said, give us at least one. Giants game in the house. What's going on, Jamie? Said Giants wild card Super Bowl again. Lego.
That's a comment that makes me angry. That's a comment. It's like, yo, no, absolutely not. No.
Bill Maloney is going. He said, Philly fan in the house. He said, no worries. Hurts is back. We putting teams on notice. Look, y'all got to get that one seed. Look, if the Niners end up with the 1 seed, that moves the Vikings up. That moves Philly to 2. So you know what I mean? Yep. Which means again, the Vikings would draw the Giants. So that's why I keep saying the Vikings and Niners, because right now the Niners are in. Well, the Niners can get the 3 seed, the 1 seed, or the 2 seed in the Vikings. So that's what I'm saying. Giants, that Giants-Vikings game, it's gonna be something to see. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mike Green said, AJ Vanette's, yeah, right. Packers taking it this year. He's saying they going to the 7th. They from the 7th seed to the Super Bowl. Look, they smacked the Vikings. They literally put an ass whooping on the Vikings. Yeah,
they embarrassed the Vikings.
And Jair Alexander.
That's A-Rod.
Jair Alexander. He has some words for Mr. Jefferson there.
Shout out to A-Rod.
Shackled him. You know what I mean?
Shout out to A-Rod.
Yeah, he's playing well too. And all of a sudden, those young receivers he didn't want to work with, now all of a sudden they come into life. The Packers, again, I think they will win their final game, and I think they will get into the playoffs themselves. So
they're gonna beat Detroit.
Yes, I think they will because it's in Green Bay. Yes.
Okay.
All right. Danny B. Sousa, San Fran, Buffalo Super Bowl. That'd be a hell of a game, but I'm not sure on that one. That'd be a hell of a game. I don't know if either team is making it, to be honest.
If Buffalo gets the 1, but it's looking like Kansas City has a 1 seed, right? Or is it Buffalo?
No, it's Buffalo right now. But
if Buffalo wins
because the game didn't end. The game didn't happen. So
technically, you're right. Okay, yeah. So like, if the game does happen, or they just call it a no contest or whatever, right? And say Buffalo does get the number 1 seed, I think that is Buffalo's best bet to go to the Super Bowl.
Playing in Orchard Park.
Playing in Orchard Park, and then they don't really care if they stick with the 1 seed. Like, for example, do I think they're gonna play this weekend? Yeah, because of what just happened this weekend.
Yeah.
So like the emotion, hence that's why I think they're gonna knock the and plus they're gonna knock the Patriots out.
Yeah, no,
you know how divisions go. So I think they're gonna knock the Patriots out, and then they get the 1 seed. Then they can sit back and they can relax and they can rest and they can get like
see what happens. Yep.
And see what happens. And I think that's their best. Everything going through Buffalo, that is their best bet to get to the bowl. And I just don't think, like, first off, it'd be perfect NFL ratings if it's Bengals, Buffalo in the AFC Championship.
Right.
Tell me that is not the most NFL type bias type rating you will ever see in your life. It'll probably and that's because you got the Chiefs. Chiefs are good too, but will I pick the Chiefs to beat the Bengals? No, I won't. No matter what seed you got it as, no matter if Bengals got to go back to go to Arrowhead, no matter if Chiefs got to go to Cincinnati. Do I think do I think Chiefs can beat the Bengals right now? I just don't think it's possible. But that AFC seeding is very different, and we don't talk about the AFC
in a little while.
We don't talk about the AFC seedings either. Like
we about to talk about that in a little while. Let's get to these comments real quick. Magic will run to the locker room. He said the Giants ain't going nowhere. Of course,
no.
Philly in the house, right? So he does look like a man, and he really does. He talks like one too. Giants not going anywhere. He said Jefferson will have a career game. He's gonna have to. Isaiah Hodgins has been proving himself. He has been, but playoffs is a different beast. You know what I mean?
That's the title I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Oh,
he said, "I'd be more scared of Detroit than the Giants, 100%." And yeah, they got Barkley, but like D said, you can only go so far with dump offs. Yeah, look. I know, but I've seen weirder things happen in the playoffs, man. Daniel Jones carved up. Like, he's throwing for 300, close to 300 yards these last 2 games now. Like, he ain't throwing to, like, literally nobody. It's just they're not Jefferson, Devontae Adams.
No, they're lower tiered than that. They're lower tiered than that.
You say Kansas City defense is trash. They are, as always. Bellinger, Darius Slayton, and Richie James, Saquon, and Danny Dimes can make it happen. Look, I'm just saying they live, Devontae. That's all. I'm not saying the Giants going to the Super Bowl. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that in 2 weeks when the wild card starts, be on the lookout. And we're going to cover it. So let the Giants mess around and get to the divisional round. I'm going to have something for you. I just want
to ask you a question. You look at the Giants teams. Let's see. They went in 2007, correct? Right?
In 2011, yeah.
The first time they went in 2007, right? Okay. First time you went in 2007, you had Eli Manning, right? You had Amani Toomer. You had Amani Toomer. You had what's my guy's name? David Tyree with the helmet catch, right? Okay. 2011, you had Mario Manningham.
Victor Cruz, yep.
Victor Cruz. You had Brandon Jacobs. Okay. Yep. Look, when they went back to the playoffs in 2016, they had OBJ. They had a young Sterling Shepard.
Yep.
They had Wayne Gallman. Yes, they had him.
Yep.
Like, you look at all these
weapons, yeah.
Who do they have now?
First of all,
besides the name of wonderful Saquon Barkley.
First off, but that's the point. I think San Fran Giants, that's a 14-10 ball game, right? And Saquon, once he gets past the linebacker, once he gets to the linebackers, it's a foot race. He's gone. That's the thing. That's what I'm saying. The Giants ain't gonna throw up 30. I'm not saying that. But if they could hold San Fran under 20, they live. The Vikings, their defense is trash, so they could throw up 30 on the Vikings. That's all I'm saying. All right, we gotta move on, man. You give me hype about this Giants pick. He said Giants are playing Vikings to win. That's an LV guarantee. Okay. Said we need receivers. We do. He says Jones is throwing a Glenn Foreman in me. Okay. All right. Now it's time to talk about what I call the most dysfunctional franchise. I'm sure Dana B. Sousa's will say that's the Commanders, but it is not. It is Derek Carr. It is the Raiders. Let's talk about Derek Carr real quick, man. All right, so the Raiders benched Derek Carr. Obviously, they're going to move on from him. He had 91 consecutive starts. And the only time he missed the games was because of the broken ankle. But he suffered against the Colts in 2016 when he was having a damn near MVP year. He missed the regular season game and the wild card game, and then he hasn't missed a start since. They will look to trade him in the offseason, but Carr does have a no trade clause, which is like the big piece of information in this. But I'm going to ask you, man, because obviously, I got thoughts on this because that is my lifelong team. Should the Raiders move on from Derek Carr?
Yeah. That was the most disrespectful thing you possibly could have done. That was literally the most disrespectful thing. It's not like you had some fire back up behind you. You had Jared Stidham. Stop it. That was the most disrespectful thing you possibly could have done. You gave him, it's his first year with his number one target, quote unquote best friend, Devontae Adams. You gave him a coach who's literally a head coach who's literally known not to win games as a head coach.
Right.
He has been a head coach twice before in this league. Has done absolutely nothing as a head coach.
Right.
So he's this great offensive mind. Why can't he do it as a head coach? Because you look at the other great offensive minds. How come they can do it as a head coach and he can't? Why? Because he had Tom Brady the entire time.
Right.
He had Tom Brady the entire time. Why couldn't he figure it out? He could. Oh, that's right, because he couldn't. So you give him that. The Raiders have never, and I mean never, had a top 10 defense. Or pretty much any defense.
They never had a top 20.
Exactly.
During the time he was there.
Defense.
Yeah.
But throughout the time he was there. And before this year, if you would have removed Devontae Adams off this team, he had Hunter Renfrow and Darren Waller were the only receivers he had. Darren Waller is 99.9% injury prone.
Right.
Or in trouble. Henry Ruggs, he had the Henry Ruggs incident.
Yep.
He still stayed there.
John Gruden.
So when he took when he took that team last year, who had the whole John Gruden scandal, who was playing with a backup, who was playing with an interim head coach, and he dragged them to the playoffs and damn near almost beat Cincinnati in the playoffs in Cincinnati. And you get rid, and now you fast forward a year later, you starting Jarrett Stidham over him. You're starting Jarrett Stidham over there when you have Josh Jacobs, when you have Devontae Adams. Now you're starting Jarrett Stidham over him. It is time. It is clear as day. It is time to go. This relationship between you two are not going. So if you're going to blow it up all the way. But the thing is, they're going to try to trade. They're going to trade Derek Carr, and they're going to be really tight when Devontae Adams like, yeah, I'm out too, dog.
You don't want to be there. Right.
I'm out too. And when they lose Josh Jacobs this offseason, Devontae Adams is really going to be requesting a trade.
All right. So, I'm a lifelong fan of the Raiders. Oakland, Vegas, it don't matter to me, right? Los Angeles, it don't matter. I'm a fan of them. All right. So, Derek Carr, let's get this part out of the way because some people say I like to gas him up. And I'm not. He's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not Tom Brady. He's not Rodgers. He's not Herbert. He's not Burrow. You know what I mean? Let's get that out the way. We know this, right? So my thing is, now if you're going to get one of those guys, then by all means, he can go, right? If you're going to get those guys, bye-bye Derek Carr. But you ain't getting them. And you're not getting those guys. Maybe Brady because the contract and Josh McDaniels, but he's 46, right? Okay, fine. But if that's not the case, who are you getting? You know what I mean? Look, man, I'm not about to sit up here and say he played well this year. He didn't. Played well last year. He didn't play well this year. He is on his 6th coach in 9 years. He's on his 6th play caller, of course, in 9 years.
Yep.
And some could say that's on him, but look, it's the defense, bro. Jarrett Stidham came in the game. He threw for well over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, and everyone's like, oh my God, see, they made the right call. And here's what I was pointing out. And they lost in the same fashion. The Raiders this year has put up 40. They put up 40. They put up 30. They put up 25 plus more a few times. That's out of what they've only played. They played so far 16 games. So over about close to half, they threw up 25 points or more. Problem is, the all-time NFL lead for blowing double digits leads in the second half was 3 games in a season. The Raiders are on 8. This year alone, they have blown 8 double-digit leads in the fourth quarter. And the only reason why everyone keeps saying 7 is because one of those games they ended up taking the lead again and winning. So, but they did blow that lead because they ended up going down by 3. They blown to that defense. And yes, there's talent on the defense. Crosby, Perryman, Trayvon Moorick, and of course, Max Crop. He's a beast, right? But the problem is the defense. They keep blowing leads. So I'm like, cool. Now, I agree with you. I think Derek Carr, if I'm Derek Carr, I'm like, yes, get me out of here. Screw this. I don't want no parts of Josh McDaniels. I know I'm about to lose my best friend. You know what I mean? In terms of Devontae Adams. But look, if he wants to stay, that's on him. If I'm Derek Carr right now, the team I'm looking at right now is Tampa Bay. If Brady's going, if that's in play for Brady to go there, then trade me to Tampa, and I could throw the Godwin and Evans and those guys. And I'm not saying he's Brady. I'm not saying he's taking Tampa to the Super Bowl or nothing. But I do think he got screwed over, man.
Oh, you missing the team.
Good.
The freaking New York Jets. Are you serious? You put him on that? What? You put Derek Carr on that Jets team. They in the playoffs. I promise that.
I agree because I think he's a good quarterback. He's not great. I don't want nobody to mistake it. I'm not saying he's great, but what I'm saying is he's pretty damn good, man. You know what I mean? So, like, if I'm him, I'm saying get me out of here. I know he wants to be a Raider and all that. He's a noble guy, a loyal guy. I think for his best sake, he should get out of there. But I think right now he's being scapegoated by Josh McDaniels, right? Because all of a sudden, three weeks ago, he was a hero, right? All of a sudden, they 3 games in, all of a sudden, and then yes, that Rams game got messed up and they lost. Defense blew a whole other lead. The Pittsburgh game, we watched it on Christmas Eve. Defense blew that lead, you know what I mean? All of a sudden, Pickett, who couldn't move the ball all game, now can go down just like Baker did, and now the game is over. Now he gets the ball back with what? 20 seconds? Yes, and he did throw the pick. I'm not saying he's played well this year, but I do think he's being scapegoated by Josh McDaniels. Because obviously it's a lot of pressure on him because obviously we know what happened with him in Denver. And then the coach job he just bailed on. So it's like maybe he's just a good play caller. The Raiders, they got to fix the defense. I don't care if you got Patrick Mahomes back there. You got to fix the defense. Because if Mahomes throw up 40, I promise you their defense is going to give up 45. Like, you know what I mean? That's what happened. They literally had doubled and close to tripling the record for most double-digit leads blown. So, yeah, man, like if Derek, if you ever see this man, get out of town. I know you love Raider Nation. Well, look, man, you've done all you can. You took what I call a sorry franchise to 2 playoffs. It is what it is, man. Let's get these comments. All right. Said Carr to the Commanders. You heard it here first. That's a whole other destination that he could possibly go to. He has a no trade clause, so he can go wherever. Now they could cut him, but if they cut him, they're going to have to pay him some money, not the full $40 million. But they're going to, if they cut him, they do owe him some money. But if they trade him, he has a no trade clause. He gets to pick.
Should go to New York.
He said, "Yeah." Dominic, what's going on, bro? He said yes. He said yes. They should. Okay, yeah. So he's saying maybe it's time to blow it up. 9 years. Okay. Glenn Foreman, Derek Carr got jerked because of his contract. Derek Carr should leave. Raider front office has sucked for years, and no change is always no change. That's exactly what we just said. Like, he's Davis like, boy. Yes, like we know he's getting screwed because we know it's like, bro, you coach Stidham in New England. You know what he looks like. Like, so it's like, yeah. So, but if I'm happy for Derek if he does leave, especially if he gets to pick where he goes, which he will. When Mac was on the Raiders, defense top 10, no. Actually, and to answer that question, no. They were the 21st ranked. Nice. Yeah, Khalil Mack was the defensive player of the year, but they were the 21st ranked defense that year. The Raiders were the 21st ranked defensive 16. That's the year Khalil Mack won it. That's the year the Raiders went 12-4. Derek Carr was like close to MVP candidate, and they went to the playoffs. Last year, the Raiders ended up with the 23rd ranked defense, and nobody thought their defense was good last year, and they went to the playoffs. Since then, and the other years, if you're asking, they've been 31st, 32nd, 29th, 28th, and I think 29th again. What are you supposed to do with that? You know? Glenn Foreman, Lamar Jackson will leave Ravens and go to either Giants, Redskins, or Raiders. Go Cincy. You just want Lamar Jackson out the division.
if Lamar leaves the Ravens, he's going to Detroit.
Something.
I said it here first.
Something. He said, as D talks, all I see is Jason Brown melting. My poor Raiders. No, man. Look, I'm actually happy for Derek Carr if he does leave because I know how dysfunctional the franchise is. So, like, for all I know, he can get a chance to go play quarterback somewhere and actually show what he can do without a defense. If the Raiders didn't blow double-digit leads, you can add a legit 4 or 5 wins from this year just from blowing those leads, which put them at, I think, 10 or 11 wins. So that's that. What you going to trade Carr for? A large coffee from Stewart's. Damn, man. Better than Jalen Hurts. Not joking. No, but look, man. Like he is going to have some value. Devontae was right. The Jets is a viable place. Carolina's a viable place. Hell, maybe even San Fran. I know Purdy's doing well right now, but I know Shanahan has always spoke highly of Derek Carr. Tampa, if Brady leaves, these are all viable places. You know what I mean? So, great point, Jay. Carr doesn't play defense. 25 points and up in the fourth is enough to win. Not if you play for Vegas. It is not. Stop with Tom Brady. He is done. I agree. I think he's done, but I can see the Raiders making that move. And Devontae can too. They can see all of a sudden Josh McGee. We're going to bring
very Oakland Raider
47-year-old Brady. You know what I mean? Look what they did with Rich Gannon. And yes, he did win the MVP, but they brought in an older Rich Gannon. That's just how the Raiders are. They take the fastest receiver, the fastest corner, and then they go and they like playing with old quarterbacks. Carr and the Jets would be tough. Look, it's a good fit. Carr gave his blood, sweat, tears for that place, and to do him like that is messed up, man. I'd 100% be out. I agree, but as we all know, Derek Carr, he's a different kind of dude. He's loyal to the soil, kind of to a fault. You know what I mean? But yeah, Devontae Adams might be stuck there. Amen. Run Carr, get out of town, bro. He going to Miami. Tua's done. That's another spot he can go to. You know what I mean? So yeah, we'll see. All right. Let's talk about what Devontae wanted to really talk about. I know he hyped to talk about this. Obviously, we know what happened Monday night between the Bengals and the Bills. And again, as you see up top, we are praying for DeMar. We hope everything goes well. On a much lesser important note in terms of the football side of it, though, the number 1 seed is still up for grabs. And because that game didn't happen, right now, Kansas City technically is back in the number 1 seed because now the Bengals and Bills have one less game. So these 3 teams are still alive for the 1 seed. The Bills, obviously, it was suspended. But I'm actually, Devontae, which one of these teams need the number 1 seed the most?
Buffalo. Buffalo. Because before this, if you look on paper, this was supposed to be the year of the Bills. This was supposed to be the year of the Bills. Everybody and their mother was picking the Bills to go to the Super Bowl. The Bengals have figured it out. I think the Bengals have figured it out enough, and I think that no matter what this week, they're gonna end up winning the AFC North.
Okay.
I think the Bengals will be okay. They'll win the AFC North, so they'll host somebody at home, which shows that I think they'll be able to win their game. Now, the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs will get through the first round. I don't see anybody in it. I don't see any of like the 6 seeds, no matter who the 6 seed is, really beating the Chiefs or giving the Chiefs a bigger of a problem.
Right.
Now, honestly, Buffalo, I think, will end up with the number 1 seed, especially because also would just if you add how good the Bills are, now you put DeMar on top of that, especially now that he's getting better. Now that's gonna be like the fight, the fighting pride,
motivation,
stuff like that. The extra motivation. I think Buffalo gets the number 1 seed. Now, here's why the AFC is so spicy, because now, honestly, if I think, for example, I'll use my own team. If my own team, it still make the playoffs. If we play the Bills, we going home. We play the Chiefs, we going home. We play the Bengals, we going home. But we're like one of those teams where it's like we'll take something with us. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like we gonna dog you out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you might walk out with a player hurt or something or something like that. It's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but like we going home round 1. I'll be the first person to tell you. I'm shocked we're actually even here to talk about this. Like, but if the Patriots get in or something like that, they gonna wipe the floor.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. So like, I think the only teams who are in the hunt who can give somebody a run for their money pretty much is my team. Other than that, they're gonna wipe the floor with them. I think what makes the AFC such a really tough division is going to be that second week. Who has to end up playing the Jags? Okay. Who ends up playing Lamar and the Ravens? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, those games are more of like well, damn, wait a minute, I don't know. Because you look at all these teams have very glaring flaws.
Yep.
Where you're like, well, damn, wait, hold on a minute. Like, you know what I mean? Like, for example, you look at Buffalo. Josh Allen kind of slowly kind of like this now. Like, you know what I mean? He declined a little bit, but like he's still Josh Allen. He's still been dominated, but like he has they showed us that on Monday before the whole thing happens. He's throwing some picks in the red zone. Yep. You got to worry about that. You look at the Chiefs. The Chiefs are a really talented team. Their defense is hot basura. Their defense is probably the worst I've seen it. Like, the defense is trash. Like, then you look at the Bengals. The Bengals have zero secondary. Zero secondary. So like there's glaring holes in both of these 3 teams, but I do think out of all of these teams, the person who's most likely to end up getting there is Josh Allen, but I do see that we're going to end up getting a Cincinnati versus Buffalo AFC Championship game.
Okay. So I think the team, oddly enough, the team that needs the number 1 seed the most, which of course is the bye and home field advantage, right? I think this year's Kansas City. Last year, I think Kansas City can go anywhere, right? But I don't think that's the case this year because the offense is still good. I think maybe with the injuries that hurts, Mahomes might win the MVP now. We'll see how that goes. Although I think this injury might have helped Hurts because once he left, they started losing, right? So so that actually might help Jalen Hurts. But now I'm very curious because now the way it's playing out, I'm like, I don't think Kansas City is going to Buffalo or Cincinnati and winning. I do give them a fighting chance, like a shot, just because they got Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid to win
Mhm.
at Arrowhead, but they ain't going to Cincinnati and winning, and they ain't going to Buffalo and winning. So I think they need it the most. I think if they can play every game at Arrowhead, they got a chance to go to the Super Bowl. Without it, I think as soon as they run into one of those two teams, which they will run into one of those two teams, I think it's a wrap.
Yep.
And to be fair, I don't even know if I trust if they even draw. I guess they wouldn't draw a Chargers team, but still, you know what I mean. I think Kansas City is the most live to get beat out of those two. I do agree. I think the Bills and the Bengals will meet, regardless if there's a week 19 or whatever. You know what I mean. I think they will meet. I think they will meet in the AFC Championship. I think those are the two best teams in the AFC. Clearly, I do think Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league. Spoiler alert, because we're going to talk about our top 5 quarterbacks. But I do think the Bills and the Bengals will meet in the AFC Championship.
Who do you have as the 1 seed out of these 3?
I think out of the 1 seed, I actually think this is tough because it's relying on the league. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think they figure something out. I think Buffalo keeps it.
Okay, so Buffalo keeps the 1 seed, right? And between the Chiefs and the Bengals, who do you think has the better? Who do you think has the bigger chance of losing in the first round?
Bengals would be the 2 seed because whatever they do for
Bob. They beat the Chiefs, right?
Yeah, they beat the Chiefs. So
okay. Do you think the Bengals will roll anybody in the 7th seed, or do you think?
Yeah. So the Bengals would roll Miami. I think the Bengals would roll Pittsburgh. That'd be the closest game just because they know each other so well, and the Steelers actually do play defense. I think that actually would be the toughest one. But then we're talking about scoring, right? We're talking about having to score a bunch of points. That's the problem with the Steelers.
Actually, they like that.
Don't do it.
No. I'm not saying we'd win, but like my point is like that actually surprised me. Like the last time we played the Bengals, it was somewhat of a low scoring game.
Yeah, I know.
Like that's what made me a fan more of Cincinnati, because I didn't think they could win a low scoring game. What I was going to say is that like they don't have to score a lot of points to win, and that's what I was trying to say is like the most actually impressive thing.
No. I get what you're saying. I do think Pittsburgh of those 7 seeds would be the toughest matchup, but I think I think it'd be the closest. They roll New England. No disrespect to Belichick.
Shout out to my Steelers, by the way.
I think they'll beat the Titans. You know what I mean?
They'll wipe the floor with the Titans. But
Kansas City most likely would draw either Baltimore. Actually, probably would be Baltimore. Actually, yeah, it would be Baltimore. And Lamar would be back for that. So at that point, I don't even know if they win that game.
Jackson, oh, that's tough. That's
right,
a toughie.
because my theory right now is Lamar Jackson been healthy, but because they did lock up a playoff spot, he's ready. You know what I mean? Yeah, he's ready.
Chilling.
So I think that's a tough game. I think Kansas City absolutely needs the number 1 seed. Until they run into the bank, to be honest, I think the Bengals or Bills go into Arrowhead and beat them regardless. I think the Bills, and unless injuries, something crazy happens, you know what I mean? I think Cincinnati, Buffalo on a collision course. And
I agree with you 100%. Yeah. But I will say this: no matter what happens, I don't care what nobody says. I'll take this to the grave. I don't care which one of these 3 teams is 2 seed. If we sneak into the playoffs and Mike Tomlin wins a playoff game, he's coach of the year, and that's all I want to say. That's what
coach of the year.
That'd be nuts. Like
coach of the year only applies to regular season, so he.
I know, but in my book, what are you serious? Like
I got you.
That would throw me off crazy.
I got you.
That's not gonna happen. We're going. That's okay. I just wanted to throw that in there.
Let's get to the comments. First comment: Danny Steelers not making it.
We're gonna make the playoffs. Mark my words. Why? I'm gonna tell you why we're gonna make the playoffs. Okay. Buffalo beats New England this weekend. Right? So then you got the Jets versus Dolphins. The Dolphins just signed Mike Glennon. The Dolphins just got Mike Glennon because Teddy Bridgewater can't play because he dislocated his pinky, and Tua Turtle's still out with a concussion. It's not, and we beating Cleveland. I'm sorry. I mark my words. We beating Cleveland on Sunday too. Which means the whole AFC splits. Which means the whole AFC North splits.
Which little PSA that it's a bigger indictment on Josh McDaniels because the Raiders were still alive based on everything that he just outlined. The Raiders would have beat Pittsburgh. The Raiders would have been in that spot.
Yeah, we'd have been done already.
All right, let's get to the comments. All right, let's go. He says, AFC is going to beat each other down bad. Going to be that tough run that NFC used to do. You were beat up going to the bowl.
Facts.
I agree. I agree.
Facts.
I agree.
Facts.
I think who outlook. Luckily, they got that week in between the Super Bowl, so obviously you can rest up and things like that. But I still think that collision course of Buffalo and Cincinnati is going to happen. The Informer said, "Is replaying or finishing Bills game that important?"
For Buffalo, yes. Not for Cincy, in my opinion.
Yeah. So look, here's where I feel. Here's where I honestly feel about it. Buffalo, I don't think is beating Cincinnati, and that's no disrespect to the Bills. I think Cincinnati could beat the Bills in Buffalo. You know what I mean? Because Cincinnati, like, it's like what Devontae said. At first, yes, they got a deadly receiving core, right? But lately, the Bengals been gritty with it. You know what I mean? Their offensive line is mean. The way they run blocking is mean. The defensive line is better. The linebacking core is good. We know it's the secondary, right? Obviously, playing in Buffalo is much tougher. But I think Cincinnati, I think right now, I look, man, they prime. And the injuries with Von Miller gone, I look at that whole Buffalo defense different. I really do.
All right, Jay, hear me out. Here's how I feel. That's why I said I picked Buffalo this is why I told you Buffalo needs the 1 seed no matter what. I don't see a team going to beat Buffalo in Buffalo. I'm gonna tell you why. It's Jay. This is the NFL. This is the NFL, and because it's the NFL, it's because of the magic shit like this. Okay, things happen, tragedies happen, right? You're telling me that if you gotta walk into Buffalo, we're gonna walk into Buffalo. Buffalo hasn't been to the Super Bowl since '98 when I was born, I believe. I believe it's been over 20 years since Buffalo's been to the Super Bowl. Yes.
No, not 98. 90, 91 maybe?
90, 91, excuse me. So that's like about 29 to over 30, damn near 30 years since they have been to the Super Bowl. So you're telling me you're going to walk into Buffalo. Finally, they have a chance to win the Super Bowl.
To get to the Super Bowl.
You're going to walk into Buffalo with a chance to get into the Super Bowl with all those players probably going to wear the number 3 Damar Hamlin imprint on their jersey. That place is going to be one of the most hostile ass places.
You're absolutely right.
For example,
tables on fire, like
things are going. What that fan base is going crazy.
Absolutely.
I don't see if the Bills lose that game. If the Bills lose and don't make it to the Super Bowl, that'll be one of the coldest losses that franchise will ever have taken.
Movie style. I'm with you.
It'll feel just like the Falcons when they fell from grace. Imagine if the Saints would have lost after Hurricane Katrina.
You're right.
No franchise would have went just like this. Like,
I get what you're saying. I really do, man. Like, I get what you're saying.
I just can't see it.
What I'm saying is the Bengals, they got a good squad, Devontae. They really do.
I'm 100% with you.
Look, it would be fairy tale for the Bills to go on and win it all, right? Duh. Especially with obviously what happened on Monday night, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm just talking about X's and O's. I know you brought in the factor of the motivation, and look, we know that's crazy, right? We get it. But what I'm saying is sometimes talent just look, man, and without Von Miller and now Tre'Davious White, even though that kind of got overshadowed and rightfully so, he's gimpy, the Micah Hyde injury. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of injuries in that Bills defense. And that Bengals offense, man,
I think it's gonna be a shootout.
And that quarterback for the Bengals, I'm telling you, bro, he's special.
Joey Cool is nice, but
he's not coming. Like, he's arrived. You know what I mean?
No.
He is real deal. Like,
100%. Bro, I play him 2 times a year. Trust me, I know. I play him 2 times a year. I play Jamar Chase 2 times a year. I play T. Higgins 2 times a year. I watch the Bengals.
Right.
I live with a Bengals fan. I watch this regularly. So my point is,
I'm worried about Josh Allen thinking he has to carry everything. You know what I mean? Joe knows he can hand that ball off to Mixon. You know what I mean? He could throw a little quick screen to Chase, right? T. Higgins, Boyd, Hayden Hurst is back now, and that's a huge, even in the first few plays of the game, we saw that was huge for the Bengals, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Joe Burrow knows we gonna do it. My only concern about Josh Allen, and I think he's an incredible quarterback, is sometimes he feels like I have to do it. Not every, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I have to do it.
I want to see them guard. I just need to see them That's why I'm so mad that this game didn't get to play, so I didn't get to see it. Like I just want to see how they're gonna guard Stephon Diggs. I need to see how they're gonna guard Gabe Davis, and then I want to see what the Bengals defense looks like, what that secondary, more importantly, looks like.
Okay.
Under 2 minutes, because this game is going to be just like the Chiefs game of last year. It's really going to come down to who gets the ball at the last 2 minutes with the last minute left. Okay. And I think that's what it's going to come down to. And if the Bills get that ball, the last downs coming, they're going to win the game. That's my point.
All right.
And it's going to be some wild pass interference, non-call or something like that. Bills are going to win the game. Dad going to be mad, but it's true. Like,
all right.
It's the NFL.
Tommy J. Burgess, what's going on? He said Kansas City is very much praying for the 1 seed. They are not the team they've been. Could see them lose first round at home even. Depends on who they draw. But yeah, like, look, the Chiefs are still good. The offense is still good. It's just not as electric. And that's my concern. You know what I mean? All right. Levante Armwood. He said Eagles are pretenders. Damn. I think they will get exposed in the playoffs. Hurts is good, but he don't have the goods to get them through.
Jesus,
damn, sounds like a Giants fan, huh?
Yeah,
right?
Division wise,
I think they tie the Bills versus Bengals game. The Bengals will take the 1 seed. Actually, it depends. They have to put a stipulation because if that game's a tie, of course Kansas City could.
That screws up a lot.
Of course, Kansas City could lose to the Raiders, right? You know what I mean? Like technically, they could lose to the Raiders, but actually, hold on. Yeah, actually, well, yeah, because the Bengals play the Ravens. So if they put it in a tie, that almost guarantees the Chiefs win the 1 seed. And I don't know if that's quite fair. You know what I mean?
That's a little grimy.
Right. So it's tough. Coach of the year is Dayball. Look, he got him to the playoffs. That's what I said. It. Giants got him in the playoffs. He might be coach of the year. Or Detroit if he gets them to the playoffs. Glenn Former, I just want to say for the first time on air, my sons have given the Bengals some sort of love. I'm emotional right now and will not cut off the Wi-Fi. Don't cut off the Wi-Fi. Devontae needs his feed. But yeah, no, look, I think the Bengals are alive. That is my pick to win the Super Bowl. Not just get there to win it. It's on record. Cleveland beating the Steelers. Damn, he's saying Deshaun Watson about to throw a party, not a massage party, a actual party.
Yeah, no, they're not. The Cleveland Browns will not be. Jason, because what did I tell you? No. Before, let's just talk about this real quick. I'm gonna give this a little. We were 2-6,
right?
Without TJ Watt, we were 2-6. Actually, I lied. We were 1-6. Without TJ Watt, because he played against the Bengals until the last 10 seconds of the game. We've lost twice since he's came back.
Right.
Once to the Bengals, once to the Ravens. Both playoff teams. Are we for real right now?
Which means you split the division, which means you'll lose once to the Browns.
No, we already lost to the Browns. Remember, we lost to the Browns.
Oh, so you're saying because of that they'll beat the Browns. I get you.
Yes. Saying. I told you. I've always told you. Don't judge my team until TJ Watt. If TJ Watt's not in the field, I'm not listening to nothing you say.
All right.
He's that nice. Like
he says, Miami will beat the Jets, which would knock you out regardless.
Like no, not. Would you? Judge
you don't think Miami will beat the Jets?
No, not with Mike Glennon. No, I don't see it.
I don't know.
Not Mike Glennon. Mike
Zach
Glennon.
Wilson ain't much better.
I don't care. Mike Glennon? Nah.
All right.
Nah.
Joe Preston, what's going on, Coach? He said,
Coach,
count it as a tie. I agree with that. The Bills last went in 94 and 93, of course.
Jason, the Lion King came out in 94.
Yeah, don't do that.
The Lion King came out in
94. You boy, I love losing Super Bowls.
94.
Giants was 91. Okay. All right.
Come on, man.
No, sir. We're winning, Coach. All right.
We were winning.
LV, stop that crazy talk. Love them boys. Not fair to make a tie. Bengals were winning. This is why it's interesting. Here's how I said I would fix it, Devontae. You let me know. Here's my thoughts on this, right? You know how they got that week in between the Super Bowl and championship weekend?
Mm-hmm.
That pointless week where the Pro Bowl was, now skills challenge, whatever. Scrap it. Put the AFC championship that weekend, slide everything back. Just make it a showcase of Bengals in that first game. Or maybe some teams don't care about the 1 seed like that. Maybe Cincy and the Bills like, screw it. We had a bye week. Cool. Let's just go to playoffs. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I don't know. That's between
if like it's me,
between the coaches. I don't know.
Do you think they could like move it up or something like that? Like, okay, put the 2 seed up. Like put give the 2 seed a bye.
No,
and
because
then
then
stretch
what are
it.
you gonna do? Because then the 3, the 4, the 5, 6, 7. What do they do? That's
I
that,
think
that's 5
there's
teams.
there's 5 teams, but I feel like you could do something with that. Like for example, like I feel like you would have to change the playoff bracket a little bit in the AFC, but it's like I think it's worth it to where like this is such a weird thing to where it's like
Right,
if
right.
you add, for example, if you had to, I feel like you would just add another team, no matter who it is.
So
Like
so let in the 8th team.
yes, and then figure it out. That's what I would do. That's what I would do because
Nah,
this is
you just
just
trying to find the way
absolute. Well,
for the
one,
Steelers to get in.
damn right. One, damn right. You're damn right I am. You're damn right I am. You kidding me? You're damn
Oh,
right I
we
am.
caught him. He's trying to find the way to get the Steelers in.
Facts, but also it's like, well, what else can you do? Because like, well, what else can you? Because no matter what they do, it's gonna be judged. Like, why would you do that? This is
Absolutely.
stupid. It's
It's
gonna
not
be
going to be
judged anyway.
fair. Yeah, it's not going to be fair.
None of this is ever gonna be fair.
Right.
Because, for example, if something happens to where like the Bills get the 1 seed, right, and say like I don't know, the Bengals or the Chiefs go home, first thing somebody's gonna say is, oh, we shouldn't have been home in the first place because we didn't get to finish that game. If the Bills go home early, that's their excuse for the same. You're gonna have an excuse no matter what. So my point is, they're all fighting. If they're all fighting for this one bye, you should just give another bye.
Right.
That's my opinion. You should go back to the whole two seed. The first one, the seeds 1 and 2 get the bye. That's what I would do. But like, I don't know either because you could do what you're saying. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, it said Glenn crying right now. It says your family bet. I hope it's not Bengals versus Eagles because I'm coming to watch your dad cry.
We'll have the police in the house for that one.
This is tough, Devontae. He's saying they have to finish that game, but it's impossible to play the game. Like, you know what I mean?
Like,
we're running out of time. Like, and now
absolutely.
The cool thing is we do have that week in between the Super Bowl and the championship game, so things theoretically could slide back. But then, I mean, it depends. If the Raiders can upset the Chiefs, then none of this matters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because now that would knock the Chiefs out of contention for the 1 seed. So it kind of slides it out, right?
Yeah, but like, but you're really relying on chance and like the playoffs start. Nah, like
it's supposed to start
next week.
Yeah, well, yeah, next
like,
weekend. Yeah, move the playoffs 1 week. Play Buffalo, Cincy, week 19. No break between the playoffs. So that's the only like viable thing where it's already built into the schedule. You know what I mean? Other than that, like you said, we're talking tie, we're talking whatever. Like, it's tough. He said they still wouldn't be in because New England would be. It's a lot of funky stuff going on with the playoffs this year, and obviously, of course, we know why it happened, and it was the right call. But now it's dicey. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Not like baseball or NBA can't play twice a week. Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No.
Look, I think they should do away with the Thursday night games because of that. So like, no,
that's
I absolutely
ACL.
agree.
Those are ACLs waiting to rip.
He said, "Tigers don't cry. We eat our prey, and even in victory." All right. So, with that said, let's close this out by talking about our top 5 quarterbacks. All right, and down in the comments, make sure you tell us who are your top 5 current quarterbacks in the NFL. I'm gonna say it right now. Nobody better say Dak Prescott. All right.
Oh God, no.
All right, so Devontae, as always, if you don't know, here's how we do it. I'll give my 5, Devontae will give 5, you know what I mean? Then we'll talk about it, of course. All right, so top 5 quarterbacks. Devontae, who is your number 5 quarterback in the NFL right now?
That's tough. That's really tough. That's like actually really like your 1, 2, and 3, you never really got to worry about like that. But like your 4 and 5 is crazy. Like top 5 QBs. If I gotta go with number 5. Oh my God. See, it's like there's a person I want to put up there because he has been playing really well this year, but it's like I'll never disrespect myself to put him in my top 5 because it's like he just blows it. Like, you know what I mean? Like he plays good, but then just screws himself over in the biggest moments. And I can't find myself to put him there. So like I'm really struggling right now. Like if I gotta go with anybody, I guess if I'm going off this, oh my God, I'm so angry right now. If I'm going off this season, I gotta put Kirk Cousins because
Kirk Cousins.
Like this is disgusting. Like this is I'm telling you, I feel gross right now. But like, bro, Justin Jefferson about to break the receiving record. Somebody's throwing to him.
Okay.
They're 12-3, right?
Something like yeah.
They're 12-3. They're the number 3 seed. Nobody expected the Vikings to play like this. I hate myself right now for even putting him in my top 5. I couldn't even think of anybody else because, like, for example, I can go off talent wise and mechanic wise. I would put Herbert in here off talent wise and mechanic wise. I think they think he throws better. Like, you know what I mean?
Okay.
There's a lot of quarterbacks. There's more quarterbacks who I think throw better. Like, I would love to put Tua in here, but Tua's hurt. Tua
Right.
got concussion. He ain't gonna play.
Always
Like,
hurt, right?
you know what I'm saying? Like, there's other quarterbacks I would love to put in here, but like, if you got one dude who's about to break the whole receiving record, like, do I think there's at least 8 quarterbacks who are better than Kirk Cousins? Yes, I do. But do I think but how many quarterbacks had a bigger year than Kirk Cousins? Probably the 4 in front of him. Like, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, oh my God, I can't believe I just said that. But
You said Kirk Cousins. It is on record. You said Kirk Cousins is the 5th best quarterback this year.
I'm disgusted right now.
My number 5, hands down, is Justin Herbert of the Chargers. Hasn't played the best himself, but he's just electric, man. The arm is crazy. And look, despite some slip ups, they are locked into the 5 seed, so they're going to his first playoffs. I don't know how he's going to play in the playoffs. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But he got him there, right? So, and obviously the kid is very talented. So I got Kirk Cousins. Oh no, see. Contamination. I got Justin Herbert at number 5. Who is your number 4?
Okay, to be fair, Justin Herbert was like the first name on my list, but then like I was just like, but then you could really argue, did Justin Herbert have a better year than Kirk Cousins? You could argue that.
Who's your number 4? I'm not
okay, then that's what I thought.
He definitely did. But who's your number 4?
Like, all right, number 4. Because of this year, and because I think one's going to finish in the runner-up of MVP, because of this year, I got to put Joe Burrow at 4 because you're going to see who's my 3. Okay. Because you'll understand who's my 3.
Okay.
So I got to put Burrow here at 4. But in my opinion, Joe Burrow is the most clutch on this list.
Okay.
Which is like I rate a lot of my quarterbacks on who can win me the game with 1:30 left.
Okay.
And I don't think none of these quarterbacks do it better than Joe Burrow.
All right. So my number 4 is who I think still will win the MVP, and that is Jalen Hurts. Obviously, him being hurt, all pun intended, didn't help. Yep. But I think, look, man, and I think him being out and Philly dropping those 2 games has fully proved what Micah Parsons said was dumb. Mm-hmm. It is not just a system. You can't plug anybody into that and they run well. I think Jalen Hurts is incredible, and I think the fact that people keep having the question if he's even a quarterback is now laughable. He's going to win the MVP in my book. So, but I got him at 4. I just couldn't put him ahead of my top 3. All right, number 3. You said it's going to prove why Joe Burrow's 4. Who do you got at number 3?
Jalen Hurts. That's exactly why I had number 3.
Okay.
For like the same exact reasons. So like, he's an MVP candidate. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he was going, like, and probably if he would have still be playing, he would be the MVP right now. Like, like he's an athletic, talented, he's godly gifted. He can run the ball, he can throw the ball. Like, he does everything you can probably pretty much ask for. And he's inventing and he's pretty much innovating with a legit RPO style that you're going to see that when a lot of these young quarterbacks come out of college, they're all going to be mocking. They're all going to be copycatting the same system. Especially when look at how when Seattle put in the read option, nobody thought the read option was going to work in the NFL. You were looked at as stupid running the read option. Everybody and their mother run the read option now. Like this is going to be another groundbreaking offense that's going to change the game, and you might as well. And like that's why I give him a little edge because he is having his best season. Especially how when you give it a year ago, people were talking about could he even play? Could he even? Why is he still on the team? I'm just saying. So, like, that's why, for those little reasons, I got him at number 3, slightly over Joe Burrow.
All right. You bugging on that one. But my number 3, hands down, this year is Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen's incredible. They're running the ball. Obviously, it's spectacular. Even though I hope he starts sliding in the playoffs. The arm is electric. My only worry with Josh Allen, I've said this pretty much every single week. Sometimes he feels like he's Superman and he has to do it all himself. And sometimes he thinks his arm is so strong, he puts the ball into places it can't be, and it will get picked. You know what I mean? We saw it again in the Vikings game. He tried to throw the ball literally through Patrick Peterson on a 7 route. You know what I mean? It can't happen, especially in the playoffs. It cannot happen. Now he played his last time we saw him in the playoffs. He played what I call a perfect NFL football game. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, but right now I just couldn't put him over 1 or 2 for this year. What do you got at 2?
Joe Burrow. I'm Joe Burrow. My bad. I meant
Yeah,
Josh Allen. That's you know
Josh
what I meant.
Allen. Okay, yep.
Josh Allen at number 2. I think at Josh Allen, we're talking about if we're talking about this year, I think this is the year of Josh Allen. Like I
Right,
think this is his arrival year. And yes, has he made mistakes? Yes. But I do think at the end of this year is like going to be like this is his year where it's like, yo, bro, this is you either arrive or you don't.
right.
And I think this is a year where like he actually rises and he showcases to this level. Like he shut me up last year when he played that perfect playoff game. The reason why the Chiefs lost, the reason why they lost last year is because Chiefs got the ball last. That's
Right.
it. He played a perfect,
I
phenomenal
agree.
game.
No,
And
I'm
like
with you on that.
that showed a lot to me. Like, you
I'm
know what I
with
mean?
you on
That
that.
showed a hell of a lot to me. That like, and I think he's just ready. He's performance based ready. And I think like he's that quarterback that like you can't count him out against nobody.
I agree. No, he's that good.
So like that's why I have him at 2 to where it's like there ain't nothing he can't do. So that's why I would say right now, I think like here when you talk about the arm, you talk about being able to escape, you talk about being able to run. I think he's the only quarterback who has all 3.
Look, man, these last 2 spots, I was going back and forth all day. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's strongly I feel about both of them. I think both are walking, and Josh Allen, throw him in there too. They're walking to the Hall of Fame. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Number 2 for now, I got Joe Burrow. But let me put a but in there. So obviously one, there's no the debate. We both have Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
I think Joe Burrow is going to win the Super Bowl this year. I really do. I think the Bengals are going to win the bowl this year. I think they should have won last year. But I think they're going to win. Now, granted, if they would have won last year, I don't think they would have won. You see what I'm saying? But I think because they didn't win last year, I think that they're going to win again. I think once he does, and I'll argue this with anybody, I think that's when Joe Burrow becomes the best in the league. He's not Mahomes in terms of the flash, right? He ain't throwing left-handed, underhanded between his legs, tomahawk. He ain't doing any of that, right? I'm not in what I'm telling you, as a pocket passer, the kid is rare. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The clutch gene, he's rare. And remember, when he walked on that field in LSU and you were hyping him, telling me about him, and I was watching him, I was like, yeah, he good. Yeah, he good. You know what I mean? He good. Obviously, college, whatever. But because you know how I feel about the college game. I love watching it, but I don't trust that translates to Sundays.
Yep.
But with that kid, like, and Mahomes, to be fair, and Mahomes, it translated, right? But for this year, for the regular season, Patrick Mahomes, he shut a lot of people up, right? Yes, they are missing Tyreek Hill, and Tyreek Hill did too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just like Rodgers, and Rodgers still a great quarterback, Devontae Adams still a great wide receiver. They don't need each other, right? And they both shine. But Mahomes, he's leading the league in damn near everything. Throwing to guys I personally don't care for. McCole Hardman, Juju, Travis Kelce, yes, I care for him. He's a
Valdez
monster.
Scantling.
I don't care for those guys. And Mahomes is still about to be possibly the MVP. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Look, the dude, I was waiting for it because you know me. My biggest knock on Mahomes, I was like, a lot of you watch him play, a lot of those passes look like they should be picked. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But not this year. This year, he's putting the ball like here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
On those guys, he's sticking it to him. Like, so Patrick Mahomes is one. I feel like Joe Burrow will eclipse him. I know that's sacrilege. I know it's Patrick Mahomes' world and everybody else is just in it. But for this regular season where we are now, I think Patrick Mahomes is one. But I think him and Joe Burrow is looking each other dead in the eye, and Josh Allen's looking at both of them like, I'm here too. Number 1, 2, 3, I'm with you.
Like, see, like the thing about Joe Burrow, there's only one thing in Joe Burrow's way, in my opinion, and that person is Zach Taylor. Zach Taylor is the only person in Joe Burrow's way. The reason why he's not in the top 2, 3 for me. Zach Taylor be doing way too much. He does way too much. I think he's one of those people where it's like, yo, bro, you want to go be an offensive coordinator? Then just by gracefully be an offensive coordinator. But you can't be both.
Right.
Because I think because he is both, that's why his defense lapses like hell.
Right.
For example, if you look at that Bengals Rams game, the defense lost him that game.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Like, the defense clearly lost him that game.
So one guy
to Cooper Kupp,
right.
murdering him.
Right.
Where's your head coach? You know what I'm saying? He's not helping making those decisions.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
And I think that will be forever the key. If the Bengals don't win the Super Bowl this year or next year or the year before that, it's going to be because of Zach Taylor. I think Joe Burrow is that good, but I just don't think. I think Zach Taylor is a decent offensive coach, but he needs to decide whether he's going to be an offensive coordinator or a head coach of a 53-man football team. Because right now he's only playing halves, and you're not going to win playing halves.
All right, so there we have it. I had Herbert, Hurts, Allen, Joe Burrow, and Patrick Mahomes, and Devontae had Kirk Cousins, which was the shocker of the day. Then he had Joe Burrow. Then he had Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, and Patrick Mahomes. Let's get to the comments and then let's get out of here.
I think Kirk
All right,
Jefferson, to be fair.
All right. He said Wentz. No, he is not. He is not. No. Joe Preston said too much money involved to switch venues and rescheduling other events. I agree. Yep. It's a. We didn't even talk about the money factor. Business. Right. We didn't even talk about the money factor. Sad, but money is always a factor. Absolutely. He said, "Not Cousins." No, not Cousins.
Like I had to for Justin Jefferson. Yeah. I had to for Justin Jefferson, man. He's putting up career numbers.
Danny B. Sousa says Rodgers, Herbert, Burrows, Allen, Hurts.
No Mahomes.
No Patrick Mahomes. Wow.
Oh wait.
You said right now. Yeah, Mahomes still gotta be in that.
Yeah. Like, whoa.
Said thumbs up. Said Hurts is my MVP. Number 1. Number 2 is Patty. 3 is Allen. 4 is Burrow. And 5 is who cares.
I kind of felt like 5 was who cares. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of felt like 5 was.
I'm with you on that.
Like that's why I was literally like, I don't really know who to put at 5. Like
you said, "Oh my God, I'm going to be sick." I think that's in regards to the Kirk Cousins thing, Devontae. I think it is.
Man, listen. Justin Jefferson put up a career in a year.
Number 5, Rodgers. Packers were done and now they're not. Okay. Number 4, Josh Allen. Number 3, Joe Burrow. Number 2, Mahomes. And number 1, Hurts. Look, Hurts is having an MVP. My top 4, I didn't really care about the order. You know what I mean? Yeah. I gave it to Mahomes because I think he will now win the MVP because of the injury. But, and Burrow was my 2. Okay.
My Screw you, Bird. Love 5, I didn't care.
He said tough 1, 2, 3 call. Allen, Burrows, and Mahomes. All 3 of them could be called 1. I agree there. If Josh Allen was 1, don't care. If Mahomes was 1, don't care. Burrows 1, don't care. Hell, if Hurts winning the MVP, he's 1. I don't care either. I think year over year though, I think it's those 3, right? Allen, Burrows, and Mahomes. That's like the Brady, Rodgers, Breeze, right? When you see a staff change the way they go because they need to fit the strong play to QB, they're smart. Look at KC, Philly, Cincinnati, and Buffalo. Absolutely.
Yeah, but the thing about that is Philly, if you take Philly and you take Buffalo, they actually play defense, and that's why they win.
Yeah. So great show, gentlemen. Very proud of you. Appreciate it, Pops. Appreciate it.
Pops.
Said Josh Allen, number 1. Bills Mafia in the house, everybody. Bills Mafia. Josh Allen, number 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5. Bills Mafia. Jamie said, "Hey, Jamie, how are you?" He said, "Love Mahomes." Absolutely. Look, he's incredible, man. Like, he literally brought his college game to the pros. I've never seen somebody get a start to their career like Mahomes did. All right. So that's all we got on the comments. So, look, guys, appreciate everybody and the love and support. Appreciate the comments. This was a very fun show. Devontae kind of tricked me with that Cousins thing, but
stop sleeping on Justin Jefferson.
Look, man.
Bro, how many people have broken Randy Moss's record?
I know.
Okay, then. That's all I'm saying. I was giving an O because 5 really doesn't matter. Number 5 did not matter.
You just said the number 5 quarterback in the league can't play primetime.
Yeah.
Okay.
But here's my point. Here's my point. But the number 5, I told you, the number 5 spot didn't matter. Because you know why it didn't matter? It's because I technically couldn't put Lamar in. Why? Because Lamar hasn't been playing all year.
Absolutely.
There's a bunch of players who I wanted to put in there, but they really haven't played all year. That's why I said the number
Brady
5
down year, Rodgers down. I get it.
The number 5 spot didn't matter. That's all I was saying. Like,
said Purdy is number 5.
Like, come on, man. Like,
love you guys. Love you too. All right, guys. All right. So appreciate the love and some support, of course. We will be back next week to recap week 18, the final week of the regular season. For now, we'll see what happens with that Buffalo Cincy game. Again, massive prayers out to Damar Hamlin and his family. Sure. We're pulling for you every single day. We hope we get some good news very soon. I'm JB as always. Devontae forever. Let them know where they can find you.
Hi, Devontae Foreman and everything.
Absolutely. Guarding Gridiron podcast. We will be back next week. We'll catch you guys later. We out. Peace.
Later.